What are the things that are quietly draining and degrading batteries that owners would never think are connected to battery health? A Tesla technician told me these 9 things come up constantly, and almost nobody talks about them. Here they are. The first one is running Sentry mode around the clock. This surprised me most when he laid out the actual numbers. Sentry mode uses your car's cameras and sensors to monitor the area around the car while it is parked. It is a great security feature, and a lot of owners leave it on permanently without thinking twice. The problem is, Sentry mode draws somewhere between 1 and 1.5 kilowatt-hours of battery per hour, depending on the model. If your car sits in a parking lot for 8 hours a day with Sentry mode running, you are losing 8 to 12 miles of range just from security monitoring. Over a week, that is 56 to 84 miles of phantom drain. Over a year, you are putting your battery through hundreds of extra charge cycles that have nothing to do with actually driving the car. Every charge cycle ages the battery slightly. The technician's advice is to turn Sentry mode off at home where you do not need it, and use it selectively in public parking rather than leaving it running permanently. You can set Sentry mode to activate only in specific locations through the Tesla app. Most owners never configure this and just leave it on everywhere, all the time. Number 2 is driving at highway speeds above 75 to 80 miles per hour as a regular habit. Most Tesla owners know that high-speed driving reduces range in the short term. What they do not think about is what it does to the battery over hundreds of thousands of miles. At speeds above 75 miles per hour, aerodynamic drag increases exponentially, and the motor has to work significantly harder to maintain speed. That means the battery is delivering high current output for sustained periods, which generates more heat inside the cells. Heat is the primary accelerant of lithium-ion battery degradation. The technician told me he can often predict a car's charging and highway driving history just by looking at the battery health data. Cars that have spent most of their miles at 65 to 70 miles per hour consistently show better battery health at 150,000 miles than cars with identical charging habits that were driven aggressively on highways. He is not saying you need to drive slowly everywhere. He is saying that if you have a long highway commute and you are consistently doing 85 miles per hour, you are paying for that in battery health over time in a way that is completely invisible until you run a battery health check years later. Third is towing without understanding what it actually does to the towing battery. This is especially relevant now that more people are using Model Y and Cybertruck for light towing. When a Tesla tows, the motor runs at a sustained high load for extended periods. That sustained high current draw generates significant heat in the battery pack. The battery management system handles it, but it is working much harder than during normal driving. The technician told me he sees clear patterns in battery health data on cars with towing history. A Tesla that has towed regularly, even light loads under the rated capacity, shows measurably more degradation per mile than an identical car that has never towed. His advice is not to avoid towing entirely. The cars are rated for it and the engineering supports it. But he recommends keeping towing sessions to the minimum necessary, avoiding towing in hot weather whenever possible, and never towing with a battery below 50%, because the combination of low charge and high load is particularly stressful on the cells. Number 4 is leaving dog mode or camp mode running for extended periods. And this catches owners off guard because both of these feel like responsible, considerate things to do. Dog mode keeps the cabin at a safe temperature for pets while you are away from the car. Camp mode maintains a comfortable sleeping environment overnight. Both are genuinely useful features. The problem is that running the climate system at full capacity while the car is parked and not plugged in means the battery is delivering sustained power output with no charging input to offset it. Depending on the outside temperature, dog mode can draw 2 to 4 kilowatt-hours per hour. A 3-hour shopping trip with dog mode running in summer heat can cost you 30 to 40 miles of range and put the battery through the same kind of sustained discharge stress that aggressive driving does. The technician's recommendation is to use these modes only when necessary, and whenever possible, plug the car in while dog mode or camp mode is running, so the battery is not bearing the entire load alone. Fifth is phantom drain from third-party apps connected to your Tesla account, and this is one of the least discussed battery killers on the entire list. When you connect a third-party app to your Tesla account, whether it is a range tracker, a charging optimizer, or a community statistics app, that app periodically pings your car to pull data. Every ping wakes the car up from its sleep state. A car that is being woken up every few minutes by multiple apps never fully enters deep sleep, which is the low power state where phantom drain drops to almost nothing. The technician has seen cars lose 10 to 15 miles of range overnight that turned out to be entirely caused by third-party app activity. The fix is straightforward. Go into your Tesla account settings and revoke access for any app you are not actively using. If you use tracking apps, check how frequently they are set to poll the car and increase the interval to every 30 minutes or longer. A Tesla in proper deep sleep should lose no more than 1 to 2 miles of range overnight. If you are consistently losing more than that with Sentry mode off, third-party apps are almost certainly the cause. Number 6 is full acceleration in cold temperatures before the battery has warmed up. This connects to something we touched on in a previous video, and the technician wanted to go deeper here. When the battery is cold, the internal resistance of the lithium-ion cells is significantly higher than normal. That means when you demand maximum current from the battery by flooring the accelerator, the cells are working against that resistance at the same time. The heat generated by that combination of cold cells and maximum current demand is more damaging than the same acceleration at normal battery temperature. The technician told me he specifically looks at climate and seasonal data when evaluating battery health on high-mileage cars. Owners in cold climates who used full performance mode regularly in winter without preconditioning show consistently worse battery health than owners in the same climates who warmed the car up before driving hard. His advice is simple. If the outside temperature is below 40 degrees, give the battery at least 10 minutes of normal driving before you use heavy acceleration. It costs you nothing and removes one of the most avoidable sources of cold weather battery stress. Number 7 is never recalibrating the battery and letting the estimated range drift significantly from reality. This one is subtle, but the technician considers it important for long-term battery management accuracy. Over time, the battery management system estimate of your available range can drift from the actual capacity of the pack, especially if you rarely charge to high levels or rarely let the battery get very low. When the estimate drifts, the car's charging and thermal management decisions are being made based on slightly inaccurate data. Tesla recommends occasionally doing a full recalibration cycle. That means charging to 100% and then driving until the battery reaches around 10% without charging in between. This gives the battery management system accurate data points at both ends of the range and resets the estimate to reflect actual current capacity. The technician recommends doing this once every 6 months. Most owners have never done it. Number 8 is parking with a very low battery in freezing temperatures overnight. This one has a clear chemical explanation that the technician walked me through. Lithium-ion batteries are most vulnerable to cold damage when they are at low states of charge. A fully charged battery has enough internal energy to resist the effects of freezing temperatures to some degree. A battery at 10% or 15% in sub-freezing overnight temperatures is much more susceptible to cell damage from the cold. The technician told me he sees this most often in owners who arrive home in winter with 8% battery remaining and plug in, not realizing that the car will not necessarily start charging immediately if the battery temperature is too low for safe charging. The battery can sit at very low charge in freezing temperatures for hours before charging begins, and that window is where cold damage accumulates. His advice is to try to arrive home in winter with at least 20% battery remaining, and always plug in immediately so the car can manage the battery temperature through the charging system overnight. And ninth, the technician called this the most underrated item on the entire list: interrupting a software update midway through. Most owners know they should not do this intentionally, but it happens accidentally more than you would think. Someone unplugs the car to leave before an overnight update finishes. Someone's home wireless internet drops during the download, and the update stalls in a partial state. In most cases, the car recovers cleanly. But the technician has seen cases where an interrupted update left the battery management software in an inconsistent state, meaning the car was running partially updated battery management logic that was not designed to operate that way. In those cases, the car needed a service visit to restore the software to a clean state. His advice is straightforward. When a software update is scheduled, make sure the car is plugged in and connected to your home wireless internet before you go to sleep, and do not unplug it until the morning. Check the update status before you leave the house. A 2-minute check prevents a service appointment. If any of these surprised you, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to keep getting this kind of practical advice from people who actually work on these cars every day, hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one.